Nonetheless, Geno talked about Caitlin Clark again and sort of gave some backhanded compliments. Like he talked about how she connects to the audience, which was good. He talked about how she's tough, like Paige Beckers. He threw Paige in there as well.
After being spurned by Caitlin Clark, Geno Auriemma, the UConn coaching titan, loses his mind and loses millions of dollars. He originally rejected Caitlin Clark, saying she lacked the necessary skill set for the WNBA, while she transforms Iowa into a basketball powerhouse. Geno is left wondering how he didn't simply lose out on a player. Instead, he lost out on an opportunity to make history, and no prize can make that go away.
She talks a lot of shit on the court, all right? Believe me. You know, when people talk about in the WNBA, why are these people beating up Caitlin Clark? Because she talks a lot of shit on the court.
Geno doubled down on a podcast, undermining Clark with cheap insults and offering a few hesitant praises rather than owning up. This type of self-centered behavior serves as a reminder that even legends may change.
Going out of his way to, first he's like saying she connects to people, and he could have left it at that, I guess. But he almost goes on to put the, reverse some of that discourse, try to put it in others' laps because of Caitlin Clark's trash.
The real kicker is that Clark is rewriting history while living rent-free in Geno's head without either UConn's or Geno's consent. Not only did Geno lose a player, but he also lost millions of dollars in revenue, respect, and reputation.
This kid, she's fearless. She just plays. She just is like a little kid in a driveway playing with her friends. So, yeah, she's unique in that way. But in terms of what she's doing, people have short memories. Yeah, I've seen it before.
Auriemma continued by delving into what makes Clark so unique in the current basketball scene, her fearlessness. He clarified that many players in this day and age pause because they fear the repercussions of a poor choice or a missed shot. Scrutiny on social media, blame games, and many athletes have become cautious and afraid to take chances that could harm their team or their reputation as a result of constant criticism. However, Auriemma grounded the conversation by acknowledging her unique mindset and undeniable skill. He said in a knowing tone that he was about to declare Clark the greatest player of all time because he had seen greatness before, frequently from the best seat in the house or the sidelines of his own team.
Here is the beginning of the conversation.
The women's game. So I think sometimes people get confused over the last 18 months, maybe over 2 years, that they think it was a rocket, that you all jumped on Caitlin Clark's back and went straight up. But you've been there at the beginning of the ride, so to speak.
Geno couldn't help but bring up Paige Buers as well. According to Geno Clark, Buers and Clark share a similar level of tenacity. So let's not forget my star player while discussing the person who didn't pick me. Geno's greatest error was to underestimate Clark's worth. But Clark is a different breed. She's fearless, as Auriemma highlighted, comparing her style to a child playing basketball in the driveway just for fun. She doesn't overthink or allow failure-related anxiety to creep in. Instead, she just plays, which is a trait that Auriemma believes is becoming more and more uncommon in contemporary basketball.
And then we send them up to the WNBA, and then they have something good to work with, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So it still comes back to those of us that are in charge of the game. Are we making the game better every day? Are we making our players better every day?
Lastly, when asked about Caitlin Clark's incredible performances, Geno downplayed her contribution to the growth of the sport. Sure, he acknowledged her influence, but he framed it as part of a larger, inevitable evolution because, heaven forbid, he would acknowledge that Clark's ascent is the reason women's basketball is currently booming. Geno Auriemma approached the question with a mixture of admiration and realism. He acknowledged that she was doing amazing things, but let's not forget that I had witnessed this kind of greatness before. To support his point, Auriemma cited an instance from his own coaching career in which he led a squad that included 2 freshmen and 2 players who had never started a game before. That squad not only competed, but won a national championship. It wasn't a single-player show, but those players' contributions and poise were revolutionary in their own right.
Geno Auriemma, could be the reason why Caitlin Clark is definitely not joining the unrivaled 3-on-3 basketball league. We finna unpack it all.
Oh, Geno Auriemma, master coach, part-time businessman, and full-time expert at speaking his mind. It turns out that Caitlin Clark does not want anything to do with his new, unmatched 3-on-1 basketball league. Let's start by remembering that this league was supposed to be a groundbreaking venture with big investors, big ambitions, and an even bigger January launch. Everyone was talking about it, mostly because fans wanted to see Caitlin Clark, the college sensation, grace its courts, but nope, Clark is not interested in it and is completely skipping this train, leaving Geno and the league scrambling for star power.
Just chill, man. But that is not the case. Many people want Caitlin Clark to join this league to possibly, play basketball, be more entertainment for her. But now many Caitlin Clark fans took to Twitter to actually poke fun at Geno Auriemma. Let's pull up some of the tweets.
Now, why would Clark decline such a fantastic chance? Let's go back to Geno's most memorable public relations moment on the Dan Patrick Show. In his wisdom, Auriemma called Clark's fan base delusional for daring to suggest that she could dominate the WNBA. He went further to say that she lacked the physicality to succeed in the league, and if that wasn't enough, he added some jabs about how foolish these fans were for promoting her as the next Diana Taurasi genius strategy. Geno insulted the biggest attraction in women's basketball and her ardent supporters.
She doesn't need to play for that whack job. She should just buy a rival league. Exactly. Kayla gets that type of bag. CC probably isn't this vindictive, but if it was me, if they wanted me outside, I'll demand a full retraction and apology from Geno for his comments on the Dan Patrick Show.
Twitter is a battleground for mockery and sarcasm. Why would Caitlin perform for someone who doesn't believe she is capable of handling physical contact? It doesn't help that Geno isn't just a remote consultant in this league. He's a part owner, and his involvement is now viewed as a huge red flag. One fan said, she should just buy the league and rename it Unrivaled Genius Ouch. The league is preparing for a big January launch, but without Clark, it's looking more like a belly flop. Clark's decision to stay out of this league isn't just about saving face. It's a direct middle finger to Geno's remarks. She doesn't need his league, and she certainly doesn't need to deal with the backlash of supporting someone who minimized her talent on a national stage. Geno most likely believed he was untouchable, but now his words are haunting him with empty seats and diminishing for someone who takes great pride in his decades-long career. It's amazing how quickly he was able to destroy his own reputation with a few hurtful remarks. For example, when Geno appeared on the Dan Patrick Show, he called Clark's fans delusional and stupid for having the audacity to suggest that she could dominate the WNBA. But he didn't stop there. Geno also included some expert analysis, stating that Clark didn't have the physique for the league and would find it difficult to handle its physical demands. Yes, Geno, since disparaging the most marketable female basketball star is a smart business strategy.
Caitlin has better things to do. Why does he want a player he doesn't think has the physicality?
To exacerbate the situation, he stated, Geno's own words are being thrown back at him. Paige Buers, another rising star in the WNBA, acknowledged that her game might translate better than Caitlin's, but let's face it, this isn't about skill sets or physicality. Rather, it's about Geno shooting himself in the foot twice and then wondering why no one wants to play ball with him. Meanwhile, the league's future without Clark looks as solid as a house of cards in a windstorm. Sure, they have some big names, like Angel Ree, but let's not pretend she can carry the league alone.
And you're a great college player, like Caitlin was, the delusional fan base that follows her disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go in that league and tear it apart. There were actually odds on she's third or fourth in betting odds on being MVP at the WNBA.
Geno Auriemma hasn't been enjoying himself lately. Geno is frustrated because Caitlin Clark, the golden child of college basketball, reportedly rejected his vision or his entire league, depending on who you ask. It's not just about basketball. It's about the millions he could have made if Clark had lived up to the outrageous hype surrounding her. Before she even dribbled on a pro court, fans declared her the league's savior, and they were betting on her to win MVP. Naturally, Geno saw this as a fantastic chance to become the league's new face, receive incessant endorsements, and, let's face it, greatly enhance his personal brand. But reality had other ideas.
How do you think Clark is handling this?
I think she's handling great. I think she talks a lot of and she gets a lot of back. So she deserves everything she gets because she gives it as good as she gets.
It now. Geno is out here complaining about naive fans who are hyping Clark to impossible heights. He says the WNBA players are attacking her emotionally as well as on the court because they felt disrespected when she dominated them on the first day. And let's not forget the whole, not built for this little thing situation. Gu is watching the millions associated with Clark's rookie season evaporate more quickly than her defenders can double-team her, while Geno claims that Clark isn't tough or quick enough to withstand WNBA roughness. This seems like a polite way of saying that she's making me look bad. Rather than honoring her as the next Diana Taurasi, the branding, partnerships, and legacy building are all disappearing. When Paige Bueckers announced she would be staying in college, Geno couldn't hide his mix of pride and panic. He knows she will face the same harsh reality when she finally enters the league, which could be another blow to his finances. Geno is stuck defending that the hype isn't his fault. The cherry on top was some genius named Clark the White Larry Bird, and Geno couldn't help but roll his eyes. He criticized society's preoccupation with low-quality comparisons, but he didn't appear overly offended when such analogies helped his story.